It is my honor and pleasure to introduce the two biggest badasses from Reseda, California. Payne does not exist in this panel. Martin Cove, William Zabka, please come up to the stage. You know them, you love them. Karate Kid, Rambo, Cagney and Lacey. Come on up. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, gentlemen. Please have a seat in these big, beautiful recliners provided to us by a New England company called Cardies. And I think they should give us these as consolation prizes. Everyone should go home with a recliner from Cardies. I tried to give one away yesterday, and they wouldn't let me do it.
Give what away?
A recliner. I did the cosplay contest.
We're giving this one away at the end of the panel.
We are, yeah, to one lucky.
Whoever asks the right question gets this chair.
To one lucky viewer.
This is so uncomfortable, these chairs, actually. Look at it. Seriously, they're like, it's like a talk show. They make you feel like this, so.
It is, yeah. I should put on like the Sally Jessy.
I'm surprised yours isn't like really tall, so we have to look up at you like that.
No one looks up at me. No, I'm 5'4", gentlemen. Since we're in such a unique setting, a freaking casino, I have to ask, are you guys up, down? Are you guys gamblers at all?
Well, Billy plays roulette most of the time.
Did you play?
Russian roulette.
Yeah.
My friend said
He's
that.
a very big deer hunter fan.
Yeah.
Wait, did he mow?
Yeah, right. No, I do not gamble. I walk by the tables in the slot machines and
just turn up.
Yeah,
no.
they just don't talk to me. They just say, keep walking, keep going.
I see the trend now is do these themed slot machines. I've seen like Walking Dead. There's like a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yeah. There's no Karate Kid one.
There should be.
I think there should be.
Yeah.
That's you get.
Let's get that together and get it.
Yeah, you get 5 sensei creases in a row. You win like 20 cents.
Right.
That's it. 5 sensei creases in a row.
Yeah.
God forbid there were 5 sensei creases in a row. I mean, it would be toxic. You know?
Yes, I think so. You guys are portrayed as bad guys in the movie, and now looking back at it, now, I don't see you guys as bad guys anymore, really. I think you're just trying to toughen kids up in the movie.
Well, we have to straighten something up before we begin here. This is the real Karate Kid.
Absolutely.
Okay, there is no crane kick. He trained harder than Ralph ever did, and this is the real Karate Kid.
Thank you, Father.
I think there's pretty much no doubt there.
Of course, Ralph's not here to defend himself on that, but.
Yeah, even if he were, I don't know if he'd do such a good job at it. I've met Ralph Macchio.
Yeah.
We've been on a show together. Good guy.
Good guy, yes.
Good guy. I think you're more well-spoken than him. I'm only saying that because he's not here to defend
always say,
I'm also saying that here because he's not here to defend
That's right, because
himself.
he's not here, yeah.
and using the word good guy.
No,
which is
he's
kinda
a
like
good guy.
The word nice, you know?
How much training did you do? I know you had a wrestling background before the movie.
Yeah.
How much training did you go through?
I was trained, I knew, if you don't know the story, I didn't know any karate when I got the Karate Kid. I was a commercial actor, so I did like milk commercial and Pepsi commercials, and I was like the all-American kid, and then I went on the audition to play a Cobra Kai black belt motorcycle gang leader, which I thought I'll never get in a million years. But I did well in the audition. They gave me the part. So it was training for the entire length of rehearsals to the end of the film, which was 3 months. So I was trained 5 days a week, 4 hours a day, from the ground up. But I was a wrestler, so I was kind of like, I had I was limber.
Yeah.
But they put me through a pretty much crash course of stretching my hamstrings out to where I was walking home like a noodle. And it was very, it was not easy. It was really kind of painful. I mean, Pat Johnson was our instructor. He plays the referee in the tournament scene. And so he would take my leg sometimes and just put it on his shoulder, and he'd start really low, and then he'd slowly stand up until, like, you could literally hear his hair going like that, it would be above his. Then he'd take it and push it above my head. I mean, you could literally feel like it was just, like rope just getting pulled thin.
Can we do that in the photo op later?
Sure, yeah.
I stretch that out. If I have any questions, we got a mic up here. You could just scream it out too, if anybody has a question, or
Just to elaborate.
Or we could just vamp. You guys don't have to have questions.
Yeah, just to elaborate, Pat Johnson was the stunt coordinator. Everybody knows was the referee in the movie with the red shirt. But if it wasn't for Pat, we really wouldn't have had the grip on our characters that we did, because he trained everybody separately, trained me separately, put Cobra Kai separately, and Pat and Ralph separately. and created that mystique that we all had. No one really knew what each other's style was about. And it was good. It was really good. And, you know, his key eye and his attitude and how good he was as a martial artist. He used to run with Chuck Norris in the 60s and 70s in the tournament scene. So he was really, you know, really foremost martial artist and gave a great deal to the movie. You know, as a great percentage of the movie, you know, we contribute to, you know, Pat Johnson, who's still around, who's retired and lives out in L.A. still. If you all get a chance to see what he says on the DVD, he does The Way of Karate Kid 1 and The Way of Karate Kid 2 on the most recent sets, and he talks all about karate and working with Billy mostly as his gift to the karate world.
That's
a gift that keeps on giving, my friend.
That's right. Yeah, he trained us. Just if you don't know the story, has anybody not heard how the fight scene happened? Raise your hand if you don't know how the fight scene was put together, so I don't do it again. Okay. Raise your hand if you do know how that fight scene was put together. All right, good. So I'll tell you. So, so Ralph was trained in his style, which was Okinawa Te, which was a soft defensive style that Miyagi taught him. And then I was learning Tang Sudo, the Korean style. So in the mornings I would go, Pat would train me in my style. Then he'd go and he'd work with Ralph in his style. And then at the end of the day, from the very first time that we rehearsed, we were choreographing the final tournament fight. And we were super sloppy. There's some videos on YouTube that John Avildsen, the director, put on YouTube that's pretty fun to watch. We had our pads on and we're, you know, this far away from each other throwing punches and kicks, and our kicks are sloppy as heck. And every day we did this for 3 months until we shot the tournament. And bit by bit we get a foot closer until we were actually close to touching each other. And then the pads came off, and, you know, it was completely like, you know, it was built into us all the way. So when we got to the tournament, it was really fun, and then all of a sudden they brought in all the fans and this high energy, and it was actually filmed during an actual karate tournament. They had a real tournament with real karate kids there, so there were a lot of fans of the kids that were really there, and the energy was really high, so it was really authentic. And then all of a sudden they announced the final fight, and then in comes, you know, Ralph and myself, and you know, they didn't know we weren't black belts, so it was kind of entertaining. You know, of course they knew we were making a movie, and they knew it was all fake and choreographed, but the energy was super high. And you know, and there was probably 9, 10 cameras that were shooting through bleachers and covering it from every angle, and it was shot kind of straight through. We didn't stop and do like this kick, that kick, and you know, so it was a lot of fun. You know, and at the end I was walking around, you know, from a white belt wearing a pretend black belt, and it was cool.
The acting, but with some real fighting in there, and you don't want to disappoint the people that were there. You wanted to look legit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would go to my trailer and come out and do my thing, and then Ralph threw his little fake kick at the end and got a lucky shot.
That crane thing, whatever it was.
Yeah, but the audience was against me. I mean, they were booing. You know, I mean, I remember after Ralph was hurting, and they said, you know, take a knee, and I was kneeling down, and we were even cut. It wasn't even rolling anymore. And the fans were just booing, and, you know, like, boo, boo. And I'm sitting there, and I look up, and there's my mom in the stands and my aunt. And my mom's like, "No, he's a nice kid." I'm like, I'm acting, Mom. It's all right. It's okay. They're supposed to do that.
It's okay. It's working, Mom.
Yeah.
It's working.
In 30 years, they're going to cheer for me. You watch. No, just kidding.
Sir, your question.
Hey, I'm Jesse from the Bring Me Your Torch podcast. Good to see you, Ming.
Hello.
Before I get to my question, Billy, I need you to tell me if I'm remembering this correctly. Were you in an after-school special where a drunk girl killed your horse?
Killed my what?
Your horse?
I don't remember that part.
I swear I'm remembering something where you were dating a girl and she got drunk and she ran into your horse and you were very sad at the end.
I think that was a drug thing you had
Maybe
watching The Godfather and
I spent a lot
after-school
of time
special.
doing
Yeah, that was one of your things in high school. I'm sure you could talk to your counselor about that. I was in an after-school special, though, about drunk driving called Sad, and it was used in a lot of
Maybe that's what I'm remembering.
Yes.
Yeah, where'd the horse come in?
Ralph's
I
horse.
swear,
The horse really
this
threw
girl,
me.
I just remember him on the ground, like sobbing, like, my horse is dead.
It was Ralph. No, it was Ralph.
Yeah, that was Ralph.
My horses.
Anyway,
Dude, I don't know what you watched.
I work in politics, so I'm super obnoxious whenever I see a movie that has something to do with politics. Saying, that's not how it
Get
happens.
political. That's a fun thing. Go.
Yeah. Well, you know, drinking and politics, you know, goes together. So I'm obnoxious when I see movies. That's not what it's like in Congress. So I wonder, do you get a lot of obnoxious fans who accost you saying, that's not what really happens in karate, and trying to pick every little piece out of the movie that's not correct?
Are you asking that to me or to
To either of you guys.
No, really, because actually the martial arts is all authentic. I mean, I think we've been desensitized and faked by all the baloney martial arts you see today.
You can say it.
You know, I mean, you got the CGI stuff and the super fast, you know, speeding up the film. You know, you do a couple, you know, some extra frames and get it going super fast, or cut frames and get it going fast. I mean, we were doing like the real thing. Like if you watch The Karate Kid now in the theater, it actually looks super slow and lame compared to what we're like used to seeing now. So I mean, the martial arts in it was actually really authentic. There's some really great martial artists in the film. Not myself, but like, you know. But my karate was good. I mean, he got me in shape to look like that. I mean, if anything, I get people surprised that, you know, I hadn't trained for a long time before the film, yeah.
I mean, most people thought we were all martial artists because, you know, Pat was so adept at what he was doing. But, you know, he had little secrets that he told us all. So I think, you know, they were so specific in the stunt coordination. You know, everybody who worked there's some that you would know, but what was his name? The Marvel, the best one that we, in the white outfit.
Darryl Vidal?
Yeah, Darryl. Brilliant martial artist, made us all look good, and you know.
He's the guy I fought before Daniel at the end that did the butterfly kicks. He's also the guy, by the way, that invented the crane kick, and he's in Miyagi's outfit with like, you know, he's all, what's he got? Fake outfit on, doing the stuff on the pylon at the beach, doing the crane kick.
That was him.
That was his, yeah, so he came up with the crane kick as the magical thing at the end. He's like a world champion, world-class fighter. He's actually a 10th degree black belt now. He's still doing it. He's awesome.
In fact, Billy and I are going to come to your house and show you how good we are in karate.
Good questions, though. I'm not sure about the dead horse, but...
That's it. You gotta leave now.
I'm still trying to. I want to see this movie.
You
now.
may be right. I may be wrong. There might have been... I don't know. That was a long time ago. I'm going to watch it and go, oh, my God, that poor guy, he was right, yeah. The dead horse, of course. My horse, Missy. How did I forget that?
Yeah. Do you have a lot of kid fans now? I love that. I'm sitting in the theater in 1984, hating you guys. Sorry, I knew what it felt like to be the new kid in town, and you know, I didn't get bullied like Daniel did, but you know, I get some barbs thrown at me. Sitting there, I was like, how's this kid gonna get out of this? And he does, thanks to like a little short Asian guy. Like always listen to the Asian guy; he'll get you out of trouble. The movie still lives on, and you get a new generation of fans. You get a lot of kids coming up and hating you. And
well, I have a 7-year-old boy who goes to school, and so he knows about the Karate Kid, but he's never seen the Karate Kid. But it's in his dialect. Like he knows about it. You know, at the airport, people are like, "Can we take a picture with you?" He's like, "Why do they want a picture with you?" But at school, there's this little girl is in his class. She's 7 years old, and I guess she had just seen the Karate Kid, so I'm dropping him off in the car line, and she's sitting in the front seat, no kidding, and she's got a face on her like this. And her mom goes, she just saw the Karate Kid. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've seen this kid every day for like, you know, the whole year. And I'm like, hey, honey. She's like, you were the mean guy. I'm like, no, I was actually the good guy, and you'll get to know, you know. And I'm, you know, anyway, now every day at school, she goes, and I go, and then we give a high five. And then, but there's other kids at school. I get this email from one of the moms saying my son's about to get his black belt. In a month, and they're doing all this great charity work. Would you mind putting a video together for him in his class? He's 10 years old, so made a video for him in the dojo, and then it turned out to be like 5 kids at the school that were martial artists. Yeah. And the last day of school, they all came up, and so yeah, there's new generations of kids that are watching the film, being inspired by it, and you know, they realize that, you know, we're actors. Plus, Johnny had a turning point at the end of the movie where he handed the trophy. Yeah. So I'm going to hang my hat on that when I show my son. Like, just wait to the end. You know, yeah, I'm mean in a skeleton outfit, but wait till you see how nice I am at the very, very end. Yeah.
It's like, you see that kid? That's called redemption.
Yeah, right.
That's called integrity.
Yeah. But the movie marches on. That's why we're here. I know it's great, you know, and it's good. I mean, everybody needs a mentor. Besides the martial arts, it's about having a father figure. It's about being guided in the right direction. It's about overcoming your obstacles. I mean, we all have a sense. We're all part of Daniel. We all live vicariously through him. You know, even me. You know, I was actually an implant from New York. The funny thing is, I was Daniel in real life. I was from Long Island. I moved to California when I was 10, and I was bullied my first day of school. I was pushed off a bike and by a gang of kids. They were like the California kids with the knobby tires and the motocross bikes.
The rich kids with the cool
bikes.
Yeah,
I was literally pushed off my bike the first day of school, like into the thing, and that's that.
Yeah. Look at you now, though. Where are those kids?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Yeah. Well, no, they're still my buddies. But I actually punched a kid in the nose, and that's how it stopped, though. In those days, like, you could say that to your kid, like, somebody hurt, you know, somebody's messing with you, just give him a good shot in the nose, they'll never bother you again. You can't say that today, but my dad used to say that. Like, my dad would take me in the basement when I was a kid and literally have me punch him in the jaw just to know what it felt like to hit somebody in the face, because he's like, you're going to run into trouble, son, someday.
Sure.
Sure enough, I had 6 kids surrounding me. My first day of school, I was on my side, and they were laughing at me, and I got up and just went to the biggest one and went, pop, and then all the other kids looked like that, and then they ran, and then at recess, they came around and said, will you be in our gang? That's it. It was the truth. It was like my gang, It was like 3rd grade gang,
Anyway. That's some California like gangster initiation.
Yeah,
right
it was
there.
super hardcore, man. Yeah.
It was Mark Hamill. Sorry.
Mark Hamill.
Wait, the movie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic.
All right, yeah.
Mark Hamill.
We're going to come
Thanks
to
for
your
clearing
house.
that up. You had me going,
Yeah.
man, I got to go watch my own stuff.
Are you okay, dude? Did you get hit on the head? He's confused. Like, did you confuse them in the? He was in the Star Wars movies too.
Oh, thank you. No.
You're still visiting your house.
I was too little, man. Star Wars, I was like 9 when Star Wars came.
Do you? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that you're just talking about bullying, that I do these anti-bullying seminars, and oddly enough, you can't really tell kids, which you'd like to, like his father did, go and punch the guy out, because you can't say that in school, but that's what really is the only thing that stops them, because we've applied a variety of techniques. I went around the country with a psychologist, and she had a whole program of how to avoid being bullied, and some of it worked, and avoiding the bully and agreeing with him, and yes, my ears are big, I've got to do something about that, or I'm overweight, I really agree with you, thank you for telling me. But sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, and the only thing that works is when your dad does pull you aside and say, hey, just get physical. It's unfortunate, but I don't have a solution to bullying. I think bullying began as far back as Greece or Rome. I mean, it's something that goes on in humanity, and it's theoretically, it's really rough to figure out a solution to that problem. Whether you're Daniel LaRusso, or I was bullied in the 9th grade in Brooklyn. So and Billy was certainly bullied by his sister all the time.
That's so true.
So, sometimes it toughens you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Or I just use 2 words, no mercy. Yeah, I try
No mercy. Yeah, you could just say that, no mercy now, and it triggers something and they back off.
Yeah, that last bar
No
fight
mercy.
I got into, I
Oh, I
tried that. It didn't work, but. Do you have any good stories from the audition process? How was the movie pitched to you? Did you go in angry, as per your, on paper they give you a little description of what your character is supposed to be like. Then you kind of.
I'll do the real quick nutshell version of it, because, so I got it called into Marty's story is really funny. I love to hear your story. Maybe I should tell your story, and you should tell my story.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So you tell my story. Good.
Okay.
I can't believe it's you going in there. Yeah.
No, I got a call, met a casting director. They gave me a script. You're perfect for this part. Go read it. I go read it. It's a karate guy. He's a total bad guy. I'm like, how am I going to, this isn't right for me. But I went back the next day to read with John Avildsen, the director, and I put on a headband and a tank top, and I drove up in my dad's 1970 Volvo, and I cranked some, Zebra or something in the car. But I walked in the audition in those days. Zebra's great songs. Walked in the audition, and when I was doing the commercials, everybody was super friendly on the commercial auditions. If you ever did that, it's like, hey man, I loved you in the Snickers spot. Are you doing kids? No, I went where. Everybody's so friendly in the commercial world. But then in this room, I walked in, and everybody's reading for the character of Johnny Lawrence, and so there was it was the iciest room ever. There was like 50 me's in there, like Johnny's in there.
Oh, it's all competitive.
Oh,
You're
so
all-
competitive. Everybody was out badassing the next guy, and you have to go in and sign a piece of paper, and it threw me. So I went out to the car, and I said, just tell them I'll be in the car. So I sat in the car and just cranked the stereo until they came out, and they're like, we've been looking for you, and I'm like, so I went in, and then I had my audition, and there's a scene that was cut out of the film that we shot, but it was my audition scene, and it was before the tournament at the school, and Daniel's getting a drink of water, and I walk up to him, and I hand him a piece of paper, and he stops, and he looks at it, and he says, what's this for? And it's a death certificate. I go, it's a death certificate. You gotta get your mommy to sign it. And if you want to be in the tournament with the big boys. And then he looks at it, and he says, wait, I thought that it was supposed to be no contact. And I say, well, accidents happen. And then I walk away, and he goes, hey. And I go, yeah. He goes, you think you might be wrong? And I say, who? He goes, your instructor. You think you might be wrong? And then my line is, watch your mouth, asshole. So in that line, John Avildsen was reading with me, and the director, and when I said that line, I walked over to him, and one of the rules of auditions, and I don't recommend it, is don't touch anybody. The casting directors or the director, but I grabbed John and I pulled him up and I said, watch your mouth, asshole. And then I threw him back down into his seat, and he's still filming, you know. And that was the end of the scene, but there was this tension in the room, so I just kept working it, and I walked to the door, and I looked at him, and I said, I'll see you in the tournament. And then I opened the door and I said, read it and weep. And I walked out and I closed the door. And there's all the other guys still out there like, you know, are you done? I'm like, no.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Yeah.
How'd it go?
And then I walked back in and I'm like, I'm so sorry. That was, you know, that was the character. That wasn't me, you know. And he's like, so how old are you? And you're a little taller than our Karate Kid. And I go, well, you know, Bruce Lee was shorter than a lot of guys. He goes, that's true, that's true. And he took my name and that was it, you know. And then a month later I got a call back and then you know, and slowly rolled out. My last audition wasn't even an audition. It was, I had read with Ralph, which was cool. There was 3 guys left, me, Ralph, and then the guy who played Tommy in the movie, and Bobby. And we were kind of rolling in out the door. And I waited for Ralph until the end of the day at Columbia Pictures when I was waiting by my car. He came out like 5 hours later, you know, like I shouldn't have been there so long. I just wanted to hear what he thought. And I said, hey, you know, how'd I do? What'd you think? And he goes, well, I told the director, everybody was great. He says, but you legitimately scared the shit out of me. So I'm like, all right, that sounds good, you know. So went home, had last audition, was stretching, and Pat Johnson, who trained us, brought me into a room with a bunch of mats, this rubber room, bent me in all different kinds of ways, and got on the phone and sent me home. And then that night I got the part. That's it.
So not only were you an amazing, you killed the audition, almost literally, and you were flexible.
Yeah, but it took it was like a 2-month process. It wasn't like, you know, it was
like
the
in and
worst
out.
carrot dangling in front of me. I mean, I drove back and forth, you know, 5 times to the studio.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's hard. It's like kind of like falling in love with somebody you don't know if you're supposed to fall in love with. Like, am I going to get this part? Am I not? So it plays with your head a little bit. You have to kind of hold it loosely, you know.
Right.
With anything, you know, in life, but, you know, especially in this business, you know, with all the auditions and stuff. Anyway, that's my story. Marty really hurt somebody.
Was that your short version of your?
was a short
sorry.
version.
Was that long? I need more coffee. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we all had, you know, fun at the auditions, but I was given the script. I was doing Cagney and Lacey at the time, and this to me seemed like just another heavy John Kreese. And I was given the script on a Monday, and then she said, "Don't worry about it. We'll set something up at the end of the week for you to meet the director." Well, the very next morning, I get a call. It's now or never. They want to see you on the set at 12 o'clock. So that's the very next day. So I was really livid. And my wife says to me, you know, use the venom you feel for these people. You know, use it. And this was Mercy for the Weak, here and on the street, you know, ranting and raving through the aisle in the dojo. So I used all the venom I felt for these people and the resentment I had. And eventually, you know, got there, and there was the casting woman, and there was the director. And I didn't care if I got this part or not. I was doing a TV series. So I just exploded and said, you know,
Really quick, did you say that you hadn't had any time to prepare? Did you say that part?
yeah, I said it.
Yeah, they gave you no time to get ready for it, right?
No time. They called me the very next morning, and I said, you know, Caro Jones, you know, John, we wait for years to meet directors of your caliber, and Caro, and we fire our managers, we fire our agents just to meet directors of your caliber. And now you don't give me any time to prepare, and you're an asshole, and so are you, Caro Jones. And I said that right to her. And I went right into Mercies for the Weak, here and on the streets, with all that venom I was feeling. Didn't pause, nothing. Just went right into it. Well, you know, sometimes you can get away with that and be insulting and offensive to the directors. And if you try to do it on TV, it gets a little shaky because they have more fragile egos than cinema directors. You know, it just is. I've done that on TV, and they kick me out of the room, you know, when I get offensive. But he loved it, and he sent me on to Jerry Weintraub. Jerry Weintraub, the producer, may he rest in peace, was 4 days late to the interview. He was in Europe, and I'm on pins and needles, and I did the same thing to him. I said, Jerry, you're a real asshole, blah, 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 blah. And boom, went into the screen, loved it, and went to the studio head. I didn't have the nerve to do it to the studio head, so I just pumped up in the bathroom and got angry, and then, you know, did it on camera for the studio head at Columbia, and then one got the part. But, you know, it's the kind of thing where you have to just go with your instinct in our business at the given moment. Because if you don't, if you start caring about it too much, what happens is you start worrying about, do they really like you? And, and actors have that problem trying to be loved all the time. So it's kind of, if it permeates the reading, then you kind of lose the sense of how good you can be from the gut. You're busy worried about, all the people outside who really wanted your part, So in any case, it's a fascinating experience, but it's really the hardest. Once you get the job, you can do a 10. Most of the time when you audition, you do a 7 and an 8 because of the nerves and how much you really want the part,
When they introduced me to Marty, he was brought in as Kreese. They never introduced me to the actor Martin Cove. The first time that they did on purpose, we were in the dojo doing our training, and the first time I ever met him was in a black belt and him walking in character. So it was an effect the director wanted to have on all of us as actors, and it really worked. If had I known what a little pussycat he was, I would never have swept the leg.
Right. No.
Yes, I cried supermarket openings.
Yeah.
I just love you basically assault the director. You call him an asshole, and you guys both got the part. I think this is How to Kill Your Auditions 101 for any kids out there.
Yeah, don't
aspiring
do that.
actors.
Yeah.
Yes, your question, sir.
Batman.
Yeah,
Batman.
actually, Lego Batman. It's in the scenes you guys were with him in, especially like the one where he punched out the car windows in the beginning of the second movie. What was it like working with Pat Morita?
Well, Pat was just the greatest. I mean, in my last audition, he was the one who worked with me. They had already started shooting in Reseda, and they were in an apartment. And the very last of the 4 installment auditions was working with Pat. And he was terrific. We just improvised, and John Avildsen's, John Avildsen is always with a camera, always has a VHS camera at the time, and just shooting over his shoulder, and I'm, threatening Pat with that scene, and that scene ultimately was written as the end through the window and fighting in the parking lot. I trained through that throughout the whole piece, throughout, through every rehearsal period. But that scene was originally written to be the end of Karate Kid 1, and ultimately Karate Kid 1 was cut, that scene was cut while we were waiting to do it. And we were rehearsing, go through the window, and I went through the window but with my real hand because the stunt man never, he never set the charge well enough into the window. And the one scene that's in the Karate Kid 2 of me punching in the glass is real, coming out is fake. But ultimately, that scene was really written to be the end of Karate Kid 1. And then while we're waiting to do it one day, they just decided to end the movie in the tournament scene, which was the greatest decision, And it sets up what he does so well, giving him the trophy, and then it sets, Kreese up so very well at the end to be the maniac he is. He, grabs his neck and says, "You did the wrong thing." Like failing is dying, which of course is not what karate is all about. So, it was great working with Pat, and it was all give and take, like it should be, very collaborative.
Yeah, he was great. I met him when I got the cast, and I knew him from Arnold from Happy Days.
Yeah.
Of course, I knew Ralph from The Outsiders. I was the new kid. So in the back lot, I remember we were walking to our first training because he was trained as well. And I just said, hey, he was so nice. He called me BZ. I called him Uncle Pat. We were dear friends for years, and I called him every Christmas and Thanksgiving afterwards. But on the way there, he said, BZ. I said, if you see anything I could do different, please let me know, And he says, okay. And so at the fence fight scene, we were getting ready to do that. We were rehearsing, and that took like almost 2 weeks. We shot that. We kept going back to do pickup shots on that. But the first thing where I throw him against the thing after he douses me illegally with the water hose when I'm just minding my own business. Remember that? And I said, you can leave well enough alone, Russo, right? That part. So when I was doing it, I guess in my rehearsals, Pat says, BZ, come here, man, come here. He goes, listen, when you do the rehearsals, man, give 110%. Give 110%, so when the camera's rolling, it's like bread and butter, baby. It's like bread and butter. And I was like, okay, because I was holding back because I knew it was such an intense moment. But in the rehearsals, it was super, super charged, And he got my energy way up, way over. And then, bam, and then they were rolling it. I mean, it just really happened. So he gave some really great advice, and he was just great. I wish he was here. He's a beautiful guy. You would love him. And this whole thing with what's going on with the cons and all the fans we've got to meet over the years, he would just, you guys would love him. It's just a shame, you know. He's a beautiful guy, and he would love you, which is more. I mean, I wish he was here to tell stories because he was great. Super, super great. He's the soul of the movie. He's Miyagi, you know. I mean, you can't duplicate him, you know. I mean, he and Ralph together, their chemistry was just magic. So, yeah, great, man. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. I also want to mention the other star of the movie is really the script, the script by Robert Mark Kamen.
Yeah.
Did everything film as written? Were there any changes from the first time you read it to
Pretty
the
much
finished version?
everything was written. I mean, that's one thing. You didn't really deviate from the lines, yeah. It was scripted. I mean, you should get, if you could pick up a copy, I don't know if it's on eBay or something, we should bring them. But read the Karate Kid script, and it's literally word for word the movie. Yeah.
He wrote, and we've said this many times in interviews, he's really the star. I mean, there's no question about it that he says the same thing Billy does, the chemistry between Pat and Ralph. But when you get something that's specifically good, and Billy and I will get scripts to read, and they're never as good as the iconic story of the Karate Kid. And it's because, Robert came in, and he also wrote all the Taken movies. And he really is, I think, the star of the whole process. The vision came from our producer who read an article about a bullied karate boy, a karate student, and then came up with the idea. But it was the imagination and the background of, Robert Kamen, the writer, had a sensei like John Kreese. It was a different name, but he had someone like him in the Marines. And worse, which I couldn't imagine, but he had someone who was worse than John Kreese as far as, failure and discipline and disregarding human behavior and human value. And he had a real trainer like that. So he had the background, and I think we should contribute most of our appreciation for Karate Kid to that writer. It just was the best,
No doubt. Yeah, it all starts with the script.
Right.
You can have the best actors, you can have the best directors. If you have a bad script, you have a bad movie. It's all about the writing. The writers are the unsung heroes of everything we see. TV, everything. Especially in a movie like this, it's all in the writing. And then, if it's written in a certain way, you can cast a certain way and then bring all these ideas to life, and it's the soul, the seed of the
It
whole
all
thing.
starts from putting pen to paper
Yeah,
in that written word.
Definitely.
I wanted to ask you about something you did a few years back. I pulled up a video you directed on YouTube.
Yes.
That you kind of parodied Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
How did that come about?
Sweep the Leg.
Sweep the
music
Leg.
video.
Yeah, it was a music video.
Have you guys seen Sweep the Leg music video? Anybody
Everybody,
raise your hand?
if you haven't,
Go
get
to
out.
YouTube. Yeah.
Pull up your phone right now and
It's
watch
really
it.
fun. Sweep the Leg by No More Kings on YouTube. And it's a parody. A band wrote a song called Sweep the Leg. They asked me to be in it. They wanted me to jump around with a headband on. I said, no, I'm not going to do that, but let me write it and direct it and come up with something special, and I'll try to get everybody back. So I did. I got all the original Cobra Kai's back. Marty came in, and then Ralph comes in at the very end, and it's super funny. I live out in the desert in a trailer. I'm watching reruns of The Karate Kid, and then the leader of the band comes up. He's a pizza delivery guy, and he kind of challenges me to a fight, and it's really funny. It's really cool. Got a lot of attention. It's a really fun thing, yeah.
Yeah, check that
check
out.
it out. Sweep the Leg by No More
Everybody
Kings.
should be watching that.
Everybody needs to see that video. It's very funny, yeah.
One of the things you guys conveyed on screen, which I saw as a little kid, and it still resonates now. The intimidation. You guys are both intimidating. And then I remember meeting guys at Con several years back. Like, these guys are really nice. It was a little jarring. I was like, what? It's like, when's this guy gonna punch me in the face, or something? And I'm okay. I know a lot of people out there, they have a hard time separating the actor from reality. Has that ever come into play in real life where people kind of can't separate you guys from your characters and the intimidation you see? Have you ever been in line at the grocery store and people kind of step aside?
No, never.
It's like you have 16 items, sir. Go right ahead.
No, I don't think so. Even back in the day, it was never like that. Yeah. Now it's more fun. People have seen it so many times. Yeah.
We had that situation walking down the hallway with the security guards, and the guy sneezed.
Well, that's true.
What happened?
It was just classic. We were walking, we had 4 security guards. What town, was it Philly?
San Antonio, I think, was it?
San Antonio. Oh, yeah, you did your homework, big boy.
I read it. I read a couple things. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we're walking down a hallway there. We just come from the panel, and Billy and I are in the center, and there's 2 security guards on either corner, 4 of them. And then this one staff member is leaning against the wall, and we're just walking through, and he sneezes, like behind me. Sneezes, just sneezes. And then everybody in the whole area stopped and turned and looked at him because he sneezed near my shoulder. And they all thought I was going to kill him, you know? And you could see it was like that commercial where the stockbrokers stop and it turns silent. So the whole area turned silent, and they all looked at that, and they all expected me to hit the guy, you know? And he curled up like this. It's like all happened at the same time. And then I realized what was going on. I turned to Billy and I said, "You see that? They think we're in character. They think we really are those guys." You know, because they thought, because one of the staff said, "I'm really sorry he sneezed on you. We're glad you didn't do anything." Just like that. So that, you know, those people in that corridor truly believed that we were Johnny Lawrence and John Kreese, you know, and it stays with you. It's really, you know, it stays with you forever. There's a part of it that John Kreese, when I would go to see my daughter play in Beverly Hills High School soccer, and she'd say, "Daddy, you can't scream and cheer for me like that." And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "Well," and she actually said this. She says, "Everybody thinks you're just doing the movie. You're like the character in the movie." Because I would scream passionately, you know.
No mercy, you'd say, right?
I would say, I would scream the word relentless. Well, that was the cue. If my daughter got lazy on the field, I would scream, "Relentless, Rachel, relentless." And that was our cue for her to pick up the pace. But they thought I was doing John Kreese.
So relentless, we get a thesaurus. The thesaurus no mercy. So that's just a nicer way of putting it.
It's
I like
another
that.
version of it. Yeah. I had a guy at a show. I was in Florida, and he was apparently a very successful martial artist. And I was walking in, and he goes, and I said, "Hey, man, how you doing?" He goes, "All right." I'm like, "What's up, man?" He goes, "Well, I'm just disappointed that I met you." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Well," he goes, "I heard you're a really nice guy, and that really bums me out." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because my whole life I trained, and I used you in my imagination as the guy I was fighting." And he goes, I hated you so much. And then my buddy said that he met you when you were super nice. And he goes, "I'm really bummed out." He goes, and I said, "Oh, sorry to hear that, but I'm glad I got to help your martial art training." And he goes, "Yeah, it's good to meet you." And he goes, "I'm glad to meet you." I'm like, "Thanks." But I mean, who knew? Like the guy, you know, he held on to this thing. But it's funny, as an actor, you do something for any period. It's like we're actors, you do a play, you do Shakespeare, right? You know, you're not, you know, Sir Toby Belch for real, you know, you're playing a character. But in a movie, you do a part in a movie for 3 months, and of course, a movie like this, and it's played everywhere, that's the only way you see somebody. That's
right.
3 months of my life. That's like one basketball game I had in high school. It's one football game. That's one, you know, I mean, but that's what, you know, but that's okay, you know, I mean, that's the part that, you know, it's a part of what we did as actors that impacted, you know, people emotionally and stuff, and that's cool. But it's funny, there's sometimes people can't separate it. I don't think so too much now, though.
I'm gonna counter that guy. I like Nice You better.
You what?
I like Nice.
Thank you.
Nice Billy's
Thank
better.
you. It was many years of therapy me and Ralph had to go through.
Does anybody have any more questions?
I'll tell you all a great story that happened yesterday here at this con. It's a story I'm going to talk about on interviews one day. A man came up to the table, I don't even know if he's even here, and he was involved in 1995 going into a cave in Afghanistan with a group. And they did what they had to do in the cave, and they cleaned it out. And what he told me was the television was on in the cave. And he was in the airborne, and television was on the floor, and he was very serious about this, there was an Arabic version VHS of Karate Kid. And all of these people, his whole group, 12 men, they were all in the desert for the last 5 months. They hadn't seen a TV, a movie, a woman, or anything. And he said...
They ordered a pizza and watched it.
They always ordered pizza, yeah. It came by rocket, the pizza. But the bottom line was that all 12 of the men picked up the Karate Kid tape in Arabic, put it into the TV, into the player, and for 2 hours stayed in the cave and watched the movie. Yeah, it's a real story. And there was no more danger because they had cleaned out what they needed to do. And I said to him, who has that VHS now in Arabic? He says, well, we stay in touch. All the guys stay in touch. And, I said, here's my email. Can you send me a picture of that, that tape? Because I just love this story. And he says, yeah, I will. And it was just amazing because all of them knew Karate Kid. And it's 1995, and they were all somewhat in danger, but they had to stop. And what better way to entertain themselves than to sit there, because they had done the necessary work they needed to do in the vicinity, and watch our movie, And I was amazed, just so touched by, I've never heard a story like that before. And it was real. The guy was very real. So we're even popular in caves.
No, as you should be. Caves, basements, Middle America, anywhere. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Your question.
Yeah, you guys had talked about the training being really intense day in, day out for hours. Were there any actual injuries during that whole filming process?
Not during training. There was, there was one accident at the fence fight scene with Ralph, and it was really late at night, and when I was throwing round kicks at his head, and they had the camera behind him, and it was, actually the camera was to the side. There's a thing in stunt fighting that you have to break the line, and film it's two-dimensional, so you can't see. So if a fist going this far in front of my face is a hit. It reads like a hit. So my foot was coming up onto his, the camera was behind Ralph, so my foot was going past his face, okay? So I was doing a round kick, and it would stop literally in front of his nose. And then they moved the camera to this side. So the new line is this line, so my foot's supposed to stop at his cheek. But I never adjusted my left foot, so I was too far forward. Anyway, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I threw a round kick and caught him, and he dropped, and the director loved it, and only Ralph and I knew he got hit, and that was an awful, awful moment. I mean, I'm like, are you okay? It was really there was so much trust. We were throwing a lot of fists and feet at each other for months, and it was really kind of bummer, and they shut all the lights off and everything. That was the only time he was fine, but there's some places in the movie where you see him with a little scratch, a little thing on his lip that, where did that come from? That was an accident. The other injury that was Elizabeth Shue punching me in the country club. She hit me every single time. She never missed. She never pulled her punch. Every single time she just punched me right in the jaw. It's the realest punch in the whole film. It's Lisa Shue punching me in the. So otherwise we're fortunate there was no injuries in that. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Your question, sir.
Yeah, just two quick ones, actually. Billy, I know you guys, you did the dirt bike scene and the ATV scene on the beach and everything. Did you guys have previous training with that, or did you already have experience with that coming in?
No, they trained. I never rode a motorcycle before that movie in my life, so I did all the pulling up stuff, and then all the rest of it's a stunt guy. All the guys, anytime, except when Ralph accidentally tripped and rolled down the hill on his bike. Remember when we were up alongside of him?
Yeah.
And that was me. But all the stuff on the beach, the motorcycles coming down, all that was a stunt guy. A guy named Scotty Wilder, great stunt man, worked with me for years. Yeah.
Okay, and also, just to bring up the third movie as well, I know you weren't in it, but have you guys fans ever come up to you and talked about you guys having a bad guy dream match between you and Mike Barnes at all?
Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah, wouldn't happen.
Who do you think would win if it did?
Who I think would win? Ask Mike Barnes. He knows who'd win.
I don't think
Sean Kanan knows.
I don't think we have to ask him. He's not the bad boy.
Sean Kanan and I
he
sparred.
is.
I'm not going to tell you what happened, but I visited the Karate Kid 3 set, and he was training with Pat Johnson, and I showed up, and he wanted to spar me. So we put on pads, and I said, Pat, is it okay? Did you know this story? No. Yeah. So he let us spar. Pat Johnson was over. He's like, just go light on each other. So we were throwing it and everything, and at the end, Sean Kanan looked at him. He said, "You trained him well," because Sean was a martial artist for a long time. So that's he's a good guy. No, Mike Barnes and Johnny Lawrence would be on the same team trying to figure out a way to take down Daniel LaRusso. That's what would be happening.
Great. Thank you very much,
That's
guys.
awesome. That's very at the end of Rocky 3.
It should have been on film. It was really fun. It was actually a real sparring session right there it was outside the studios, and I mean it was near the houses and all that, big pad sitting out there.
Yeah, but
just me and Sean and I
that's
and
awesome. Ding, ding.
Yeah. It was very quick. It was just a couple little things.
Awesome. I have one last question. Did you guys keep anything from the set? Did you steal anything? Is what I'm trying to ask. Do you have any mementos from any props, anything like that?
Yeah, I have my gis and my red leather jacket, and the second place trophy.
It's worth a lot.
Ralph took the first one home. Yeah. Ralph got the car, the yellow Ford.
Yeah,
you know.
I saw a
Yeah,
picture
he's
of
got
it.
all the
He
nice
got all the
stuff.
cool
yeah.
stuff.
I have like the old beat up white Cobra Kai, you know, but I have the patches and all the cool
Yeah.
stuff. Like, yeah, who would have known, man, back then? The red leather jacket, it's, you know.
It's iconic. That's like
Yeah,
James Dean, man.
Yeah.
It's history.
My buddy asked to borrow it one time, and I'm like, I don't know why I let him bring it to a party. And he came home with a little juice stain on it. I'm like, dude, that should be
my
in a
jacket.
glass case. Why did I let you
Yeah.
bring that to a party?
Yeah, I have they bought me a bag, this big, heavy bag, and we never used it. So they gave it to me. We never used it, and they gave it to me, and it still hangs in my house now. And we.
And he has the thing, the thing in the when you walk in, it's the black and white picture of Kreese like that, you know?
Yeah, the standee. Yeah,
I've-
the
yeah,
standee.
That's his
still got
greeting
that.
at his house. No kidding. It really is.
There were two of them, one in color, one in black and white. And I gave it to a film director I worked with in Guadalajara, and he wanted it, so I gave it to him. But I had the black and white one, and then recently I moved, and it got so broken up. So the handyman, on half-inch thick plywood, cut it all around, and now it weighs like 80 pounds, but it's stationary, And I put it. And it just looks over the window outside. And everybody walks by, and my friends walk by, and they said, do you know that your face is like looking out into the street? And I didn't know I did this, And I said, yeah, well, it's security. No one's going to mess with John Kreese.
No, that's the best security system ever. I think I might try that. I'm gonna put your face.
Come
in
by
my
the
window.
house, that's good.
I don't think I need to anymore now.
Billy will serve you juice in the red jacket.
Wear the jacket. Yeah. But now that standee will live on forever, as will you two. All right, thank you guys.
cool.
Come-
Thank you guys all.
Yeah, come see us at their tables. They'll be here all day. And thank you guys for coming out to the beautiful Foxwoods Resort and Casino. Thank you. Have a great day at ComiCON 2017. Thank you guys.
Thank you.